Hello, everyone, and welcome to the February BPF February 2023 call. Today, we are talking about the melting of all reflex realities locked in and as the structure for the reactive state of being on planet Earth. And it's run on Crown and Sacrum, and that's all you get about it. So there. And it just got posted in the chat. So everything you're unwilling to be, know, perceive, and receive about the melting of all reflex realities locked in and as the structure for the reactive state of being on planet Earth, will you now destroy and uncreate all of that, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pot, all nine shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. So everything you're unwilling to be, know, perceive, and receive about the melting of all reflex realities, reflexive, sorry. Oh, I'm looking at Betsy, you spelled it. You got like, is it spelled wrong? Or is it just looks wrong when it's typed out like that? I don't know what it is. This process, it was so funny when this process, it's spelled correctly. I'm just having this process was so funny when it came out during not this 6th day in South Africa, but the last one that was at the ranch. And people kept saying, instead of reflexive, they kept calling it reflective. And Gary kept correcting people, and people still kept saying reflective for days and days and days. And no one was sure if it was reflective or reflexive, Gary was saying for a really long time. And yeah, so anyways, all the everything you're unwilling to be, know, perceive, and receive about the melting of all reflexive realities locked in and as the structure for the reactive state of being on planet Earth, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pot, all nine shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. So this is one of the 14 processes that got added into the 3-day manual last month. And it's one of the new processes you all can facilitate. And I've seen I know there's lots of BPS facilitating the new processes because I see them asking me questions about it because they don't know what to do, but they're still going to do a new process class because it's new. And that's the best way to get people into your classes, is tell them they can have a new process. Everything that brought up or let down, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pot, all nine shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. Andrew, could you please remind us what the reflexive realities were? Reflexive realities are where you do something automatically. So, like a reflex, reflexive. So it's like a reflex. So like if you hit your knee, you know how you go to the doctors and they check your reflexes to see if your body responds appropriately. So it's like that knee-jerk reaction is a reflex. So these are you have these reflexes. You know, how many times have you, like, someone did something and you just yelled at them as it was a reflex and you said, oh, it wasn't my fault, I did it on a reflex. So that's what reflexive realities are about. So everything you're unwilling to be, know, perceive, and receive about the melting of all reflexive realities locked in and as the structure for the reactive state of being on planet Earth, will you now destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pot, all nine shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. And everything you're doing to maintain reflexive realities because you enjoy the reactive state of being on planet Earth, will you destroy and uncreate all of that? Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pot, all nine shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. Would you say that when these reflexive realities melt, we become more present? Yes, you do become more present. I mean, running any of the body processes, you become more present. But if you're in a reflexive reality, you're not present, you're having that reflex. This process is very fun. It messes with people, as you can already tell, because you're all like, the call started and now I feel all weird. How much is reflexive reality? Everything that is times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pot, all nine shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. The positions are crown and sacrum. everything you're unwilling to be, know, perceive, and receive about the melting of all reflexive realities locked in and as the structure for the reactive state of being on planet Earth, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, poets, and meons. Questions, complaints?
Andrew,
Yes.
you later. So with the reflexive realities, I was just looking up the word reflexive. Is that also ties into the cause and effect situation, like where you feel like, oh, I've got to change my inner landscape to impact the outer? Is that what it's speaking to?
Well,
so rather than coming out of like, I've got to sort myself out to change the outside, it's just unhooking from that whole notion.
Yeah, well, anything you're doing is cause and effect, is not choice. You're like, it's like they did this to me, which caused me to do this, or this effect caused this. But you're not looking at choice then, you're just like it's a reflex in a way to,
it's almost like panicking and go, oh my gosh, I need to do something, so therefore it's my fault, blah blah blah. Okay.
You know, like if you think about a reflex in the body too, like when they hit your knee, right? They hit that spot on your knee and your knee like kicks out. So it's an unconscious response.
Okay, thank you.
You know, that's what these like reflexive realities are, is they're your unconscious responses that you've adopted and chosen of how to handle things.
Okay, that's a key word for me then, that unconscious responses. Yeah.
Well, if you think about it in that way, I mean, it's like, you know, you have this, like whatever goes on, you go to that response. Okay. Like I was talking about when the call started and we started asking to be, know, perceive, and receive this energy, and how many of you started getting really weird and feeling off, and then you went to, oh, there must be something wrong, or oh, there must be something wrong with me. That wouldn't be a reflexive reality at all, would it?
No.
No. Everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, poets, and meons. Someone asked, how is it different than a reaction? Well, the reaction is like one instance, and we're talking about a reflexive reality, which is all encompassing. But they go kind of hand in hand together. Other questions? Can I say something in general about facilitating a half-day class about some of the new processes, which have some info, which for some of them we don't have any info about besides hands locations? Yes, what do you want to know about them? You know, a lot of the processes don't have anything written about them because they're, you know, if we wrote anything about it, then you wouldn't be able to run the energy. You would just like go to the decision of what you think it means. What I highly suggest for any of the new processes that you're not familiar with or that are confusing to you is gift and receive them. You know, run it on someone, have it run on you, and see if you have more clarity around it, or notice what changes for you after the process. And if that doesn't work, you know, and if you're still like really confused by it, I would run it again. And the other thing you can always do is just what I'm doing, is everything that doesn't allow me to be, know, perceive, and receive the melting of all reflexive realities locked in and as the structure for the reactive state of being on planet Earth, destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, poets, and meons. The locations are crown and sacrum. It's also funny because I know this is a new process and everyone's confused about everything with this process. And you can see it because we've said the location like 5 times and people are still, what's the location?
So Andrew, can I just
Yes.
follow up that? Okay, I'm asking about what do I perceive or can know about this process, and when I get some things about it, can I just use that as an info for inviting people to the class, or I don't know,
Totally.
talking about it in the class, like, I don't know, the El Dorado process is so attracting to me, and I have a class about it. I just still don't know info about it. So
yeah, I mean, the other thing is you can get info about like the different processes, one by running them, and then you have your awareness of what you got when you ran it on someone, and when you got it run on you, you see, okay, this is what you can talk about. Okay, this is what changed for me, or this is, I was having this process and I was having all these things come up, or whatever. And that, is useful information for you as a facilitator. The other thing I highly suggest doing is what I do with all these calls, where I just say the name of the process and everything doesn't, everything I don't unwilling to be, no, perceive, and receive about it, POC and pot. The other thing is you can look up the names of the different processes, or at least the words of the process, and see if that gives you any clarity around kind of what we're talking about. What do I mean? Well, you might not know what reflexive reality isn't really hard. Like, you can know what the word reflexive means. She was talking about, oh, I looked it up, it's about cause and effect. Okay, so it's cause and effect realities. Okay, are we looking to live as cause and effect, or we'd like to have choice? And then we're talking about the reactive state of being on planet Earth. Would you like to be reactive, or would you like a different choice or a different possibility?
And
that's how,
again, for like the legend of El Dorado, which is like talking to me since I saw it.
yeah.
And I have my info about it. It's like, I don't get anything from the name unless I look at the legend of El Dorado, which is, interesting by itself.
The city of gold.
Yes, gold and wealth and getting wealth rich and, fests and all those. Yeah, so can you say, just, do you know where it came from what class, the El Dorado? Is it just I don't know?
I can't really this isn't a call about that process, though.
Okay, sorry, I'll wait. I'll wait for this one. Hey, just an example. Okay.
Yeah. I'm happy to give examples, but trying to talk about those processes, then it will get confusing, because people will be like looking for the Legend of El Dorado one, and they're like, why am I going to reflexive realities?
Okay. Thank you, Andrew.
Reflexive realities is like maintaining the reactive state. Well, it's not even, it's not even a reactive state, it's a reactive reality. I would like to ask the difference between melting, which is in the name of this process, and elimination and eradication is the other process. Well, what's the difference between melting and eliminating and eradicating? They both have different energies. They kind of look and feel different. So it's like, if we were melting a candle, we just light it on fire and it melts and it changes, right? Okay, the structure of the candle changes based on the melting. If we were going to eliminate and eradicate the candle, I could just throw it outside. It's been eliminated and eradicated. Or I could smash it with a baseball bat. So it's just different energies. Isn't this an ABC process? The reflexive realities? No, it is not an ABC process anymore. It is in the 3-day body class. El Dorado is also in the 3-day body class. And it's a body process you're able to facilitate. I practice this process and had the effect of silencing control. Do reflexive realities have a relationship with control? Wait, so I'm assuming silencing, Caesar, by silencing control, you mean it stopped control? They gave up control? They got less controlling? Or What does silencing control mean? Or did it just, okay, thank you. I think they mean they gave up control, but we'll clarify. I think as a BPF, can we facilitate ABC processes? No, you cannot. As a BPF, there's a list of processes that you can facilitate that's on the Ning, and it's also in your drop-down menu on the Access website. And those are the only processes you can facilitate. And she meant that making the intensity of control less. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you know, if you have a reflexive reality, you know, or, you know, and we're talking about your reactive state of being, is there any control in that? How much control do you have to use to maintain your reactions? Everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shirts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. And how many reflexive realities do you have to maintain you never receiving what you would actually like to have? Everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shirts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. And how many reflexive realities do you have to maintain the wrongness of you as what's true? Everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shirts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. And how many reflexive realities have you locked in and as the structure of the reactive state of being on planet Earth to maintain your limitations and your reason and justification for why your life can be so fucked up? Everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shirts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. Other questions? So everything you're unwilling to be, know, perceive, and receive about the melting of all reflexive realities locked in and as the structure for the reactive state of being on planet Earth, will you destroy and uncreate all of that? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shirts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. And everything you're doing to not be willing to melt all reflexive realities, will you destroy and uncreate all of that? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shirts, boys, poveds, and beyonds.
Andrew?
Yes.
Okay, I have a question for Portuguese. So Tati is asking if reflexive realities and presumptive have the same energy. Hold on.
No, I think, you know, part of it is one, presumptive realities, if you don't know, oh, there goes my camera, sorry. Presumptive realities are something that came out, what was it, at the 7 days, so last month, or 6 days, sorry. But they are, you know, it's slightly different and kind of similar in a way, but they're similar in the way they limit you and fuck you up, but they do it in different ways. So we're talking about a reflex, whereas presumptive realities are looking at, you know, it's like all of your conclusions and your presumptions together into a nice, lovely bin. Do reflexive realities include what we taken on from others, their reflexes to certain areas? I don't know. How many reflexive realities have you gotten from your mother? Everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pot, all nine shirts, boys, poets, and beyonds. There's a Russian, do we have Russian translation live? There's a question. Oh, no. Okay. Well, I will do my best to translate that with Google
She's
Translate.
asking for the position of the El Dorado and what does it mean in any direction or something like that.
Oh, look at that. Again, Legend of El Dorado is on the name. Look it up.
Oh, actually, we do have Russian. I was confusing languages.
Okay. It's all your fault. No, you don't have to worry about confusion. Everyone loves to have confusion around the Legend of El Dorado. I was talking about it. We just did a concierge call 2 hours ago, and they were talking about, they brought up the Legend of El Dorado as well. We were talking about mothers and reflexive realities. Yeah. I think you can just ask too. Like my thing is looking at, okay, you know, how many reflexive realities do you have with this? Is this a reflective reality? Yes, no, and going with it from there. So everything you're unwilling to be, know, perceive, and receive about the melting of all reflexive realities locked in and as the structure for the reactive state of being on planet Earth, will you destroy and uncreate all of that? Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pot, all nine shirts, boys, poets, and beyonds. And with all those El Dorado questions, I guess next month we'll do the Legend of El Dorado as the call. That makes. No, I'm serious, Albina. You must have been aware. I was like, oh, I'll just do it next month and that will make it easy. That way everyone can just ask me all their questions by then, or maybe they'll actually run the process. Please be aware, if you are asking a question about a body process and are really confused about it, but you haven't decided to run it, you're trying to figure it all out before you run the process, don't. Run the process. You're like, well, I don't understand the hand positions. Take hands, put on body, say name of process, and POC and pod, and run it. It's okay if your hand positions aren't great. I guarantee you, if you run it once or twice, you'll figure it out. It'll start to make more sense. The amount of times people come to me with questions about how to run a body process, or the hand positions don't make any sense to them, but they haven't run it or had it run by someone else. Yeah. You ran it on yourself a couple times. That's great. And please remember, it's 1,000 times more effective when you have someone else run it. So find a buddy, run it on them, get them to run it on you, and see kind of what you get from that. And please know, like, okay, if the hand positions don't make sense to you or it's not comfortable, put your hand somewhere else, run the body process, see what changes for you. Is all reflexive realities are realities that we copied from our parents in our lineage? No, they're reflexes that you've created or adopted for whatever reason. Doesn't have to be just from your parents. Your parents and lineage aren't at fault for all your life choices. Everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and pod, all nine shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. For me, I noticed more allowance showed for me and others since I ran the process twice on me. Yay, what else is possible? Awesome. Yeah, and you know, like you can say that when you're teaching a body process class, you're like, oh, okay, I ran this process on myself and this is what I noticed, or I was running it on someone else and I noticed afterwards they, you know, the next day or the next week or whatever. You can use those things as a way of talking about it in your body process classes. Also, you don't have to talk that much in a body process class. It's a body process class. If you tell people, look, The point of this class is to really learn this, like gift and receive this energy and see what your body can receive. And, you know, as we talk about, bodies don't require verbal talking. So you don't have to talk the whole time in your body process classes. I know lots of you don't know how to do this important thing called shut up, and you want to talk the whole time, and that's fine, and you can do it. If you want to work that hard, I understand, but you also don't have to.
Hi, Andrew.
Hi.
So I wanted to ask you something. People, they keep asking when we post the body process class that, can you explain more about what is it, you know? And I'm like, no, sorry, I cannot explain anything more than what I write. Normally, sometimes I don't even write the full process name. I just pick some words from the process name that makes sense to me, just or it doesn't make sense to anyone, and I just post them. And then they ask me, can you explain more? What is it about? And that's when I cannot explain anything.
Yeah, I would just say, look, we can't really explain it because it's not explainable. It's something you have to do. You know, it's
Yeah, that's
really
what-
funny. Like, you know, like I would just go to, or you could go to other things. You're like, okay, can you tell me everything sex is about, or is it something you actually have to do to get it?
That's true. That's true. Exactly. So that's what I say. Normally, I tell them it's better you come and experience it than I just say, what is it about in my
Yeah,
point of
well,
view.
the other thing is, you know, it's like with anything related to the body, it's something you have to do with the body. So you can't talk about the body processes and do any justice to it. Why? Because it's an energy that's designed to be gifted and received by the body. It's kind of like, oh, you can talk about how eating food was, but you're just talking about it. You don't have the body sensations and the you know, the receiving of that energy and all of that.
Mhm. Thank you.
So, but people want to think about these things. The other thing is body processes and thinking don't go together. Body processes kill thinking. People want to think about it anyways.
Exactly.
So,
I think they want to think that what they're gonna expect from this class and what's going to happen. This is why they want something wearable to give them in advance.
mhm. And then, you know, just say, sorry, I can't really do that. Or just give them a little bit. Or you can ask them a question. Well, what would you like to change? And then they can say whatever, and you go, okay, well, if you come to this class, would it contribute to that changing?
Thank you. That's very good. Thank you.
Ask them questions about what they know. So
Andrew?
everything you're
Hello,
on.
Andrew.
Hello.
I want to share something about this El Dorado, something interesting. What the legend of El Dorado? Yeah, I have something very interesting.
Why is the Legend of El Dorado taking over the Reflexive Realities
I
call?
don't know, yeah.
Oh, I know what it is. You guys don't want to
Very-
actually deal with reflexive realities. So you're coming up
No,
with
no.
a reflex of going to another body process that you're much more interested in. I get
No,
it.
no, no.
Okay. All right,
Wallahi,
let's talk
something
about the
very
Legend of El
interesting.
Dorado.
Let
I
me tell you.
understand. You guys aren't actually going to change your reflexive realities. So let's go to talking about something that feels better.
No, no, wallahi, you are going to like this. I have a client, she's 85 years old. She came to me and she couldn't walk, and her face was yellow, and she couldn't eat and have back pains and so on. I applied this El Dorado, Legend of El Dorado, on her twice or three times for 3 weeks in a row. The lady was okay. She was inventing pains. My belly button is hurting me, my whatever is hurting me. She was okay. There was blood in her face, and she was eating well, she's walking well. And I see the effect of this legendary legend of El Dorado. I wanted to share this, and thank you so much.
Thank you. So everything you're unwilling to be, know, perceive, and receive about the melting of all reflexive realities. What is it? Where'd it go? There's so much in the chat, I've lost it. What is it? Where'd it go? So far. Ah, there it is. I can't remember it. It's too long. So everything you're unwilling to be, know, perceive, and receive about the melting of all reflexive realities locked in and as the structure for the reactive state of being on planet Earth, will you destroy and uncreate all of that? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 9 shorts, boys, POVIDs, and beyonds. Thank you, Katusha, for reposting it. I was just about to do that for my ease. So anyone else want to talk about something else other than reflexive reality so we don't actually have to deal with it?
Andrew, I'd like to talk about reflexive realities.
No, I don't want to talk about reflexive realities now. I'm over it.
Too bad, because I'm going to choose to do that now. I was really aware of the like the heaviness of that knee-jerk reaction to just that reflexive reality to just like that state of being to go into, to just be that when something comes up. And I wonder, when the body has known some form of trauma and then reflexive realities have been created from that trauma, you know, like from an unkind hand, or, you know, it's moments it's had on the planet or such, the freeing it could be. So I wonder, like, that type of chaos, or that type of out of control, to tweak it in the moment, and just the unlocking of that, like the freedom that could be. I wonder, is there more on that you could talk about? Because it just feels like it sounds like a real freedom.
We're talking about, you know, reflexive realities locked in and as the structure of a reactive state of being on planet Earth. But we're talking about the state of being. How many of you have decided you're actually being you when you're reactive? And if you're not reacting, if you're actually present and active, then you're not actually being you and something's wrong. Everything's the opposite appears to be, and nothing's the opposite appears to be. Everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 9 shorts, boys, POVIDs, and beyonds. What I mean, the amount of times I've had people in body classes where they're running a process and they have a problem, or a problem comes up, or they don't want to run the body process anymore. And I'm like, and I will ask them questions, and I'm like, well, how much of this is actually just coming up basically because you're about to change something that you've been asking to change, but you don't really want it to change, but you want it to change at the same time. Oh, wow, that comes up when you said about trauma. Is something happened to me 9 years ago related to financial reality, and has been locked in a reaction in particular regarding money with certain people. Wow, thank you. So there you go. And everything you're unwilling to be, know, perceive, and receive about the melting of all reflexive realities locked in and as the structure for the reactive state of being on planet Earth, will you destroy and uncreate all of that? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 9 shorts, boys, POVIDs, and beyonds. Betsy says, I wonder if we run this process a whole bunch of times that perhaps we won't be so wrong anymore. No, you'll still be wrong. There's no getting out of the wrongness, Betsy. Nice try. Also, it's too much work to run the body process more than multiple times. And it's even more work to get it like someone else to come over and run it on you. You have to actually engage and get involved with people and make plans, and then like leave your house. And no one leaves their house because we've been programmed to not leave houses after COVID. And that's just the reflexive reality that we've locked in and maintained as our reactive state of being. Everything that brought up or let down, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 9 shorts, boys, POVIDs, and beyonds. I'm sorry, translators. I'm not really sorry, but I'm sorry. Caesar, there's a Spanish question that came in the chat. Can you translate that for me, please? While we're waiting. Everything you're unwilling to be, know, perceive, and receive about the melting of all reflexive realities locked in and as the structure for the reactive state of being on planet Earth, will you destroy and uncreate all of that? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 9 shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds.
So until you get the Spanish translation, I'm getting this awareness that this process has the possibility of taking us from survival to thrival. It's like out of the reactive state of being and into the generative state of being. That I'm not always, because I'm reflexive, because I have a knee-jerk reaction to something happens, and then I have to react to it instead of asking the question that would help me generate the future. So just wanted to share that. And then I do have a question, actually.
Go for your question.
Awesome. So a client just asked me this, and he said, how can I say yes to a clearing statement when I don't understand it?
Because access and has nothing to do with understanding.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being, knowing, perceiving, and receiving.
Yeah.
So even, understanding is what your mind does. All of access is looking at getting rid of your mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They seem to be very attached to their mind.
Well, then just give them what they want. Okay. I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They just
Mhm.
want to talk the whole time. Then just talk to them. Thank you for your money and give them the change they're willing to receive.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Just because they're doing it wrong from your point of view doesn't mean that they're wrong.
You'd smack me around a little bit. I love it. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to let that rattle around in there for a bit.
Spanish question. Can reflexive realities cause the body to react physiologically in a certain way, perhaps as pain somewhere? I don't know. Do you have any reflexive realities that make your body react in a certain way? Yes. No. Everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 9 shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. How many reflexive realities do you have that cause your body to react physiologically in a certain way, which means that it's not actually invented or created? It must be true because your body's reacting physiologically. Everything that is times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 9 shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. Can you talk about imposed reflexive state? You got to react a certain reaction. What is, where did you hear imposed reactive state from? And I don't know, like reflexive realities are just that though. You react in a certain way. It just came up for you? Yes, because we're melting your faces off right now and no one likes it. So everything you're unwilling to be, know, perceive, and receive about the melting of all reflexive realities locked in and as the structure for the reactive state of being on planet Earth, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 9 shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. And everything you're undoing to be unwilling to melt all reflexive realities, because if you melted the reflexive realities, then you would have to choose, which means that you would actually have to choose. And it's much easier to have your reflexive reality so you don't have to choose. Everything that is times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all 9 shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. And Albina said, I will not know who I am. Is that true, or is that just a reflexive reality to maintain more reflexive realities? Everything that is times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds.
I have another question, can I? For Portuguese?
Yes, Portuguese.
Okay. Here we go. So Tati is also, I think it's a question. Gary added, I guess, the orientation in class, in the bars class, to use the floral rescue.
We
can
added,
we
there
do
is, I
that?
understand the question.
Can we, okay, thank you. She's
So
asking
there
if
was-
she can do that with the front.
There was an addendum that went out to add into the bars and foundation manual about using sepia and rescue remedy. So I'm not sure what her question is about it, but those are two different things that we found that will help your body deal with the changes you're going through and deal with the changes it's going through and have an easier time about it. And what, if you don't know, sepia is a homeopathic remedy. I know sometimes they don't have it everywhere. We have it in the States. It's really easy. If you're in the US, you can obviously, it's sepia is SEPIA, and they have, you know, little, it's in a little container. I can go to Whole Foods, or I can just get it off Amazon, and that helps. Or there's Rescue Remedy, which comes in a dropper, or iHerb online too. So it's readily available. If you Google it, you can find it. The Rescue Remedy is a little dropper, and usually Gary talks about is when your body's weird and after classes, it's not like 4 or 5 drops is what they recommend, but it's like, instead of drops, it's like full droppers. I usually take a Coke, and then I take the Rescue Remedy and I pour half of it in my Coke. Yes, they have Rescue Remedy in spray too, but I always get the dropper. And how do you know if your body needs it? Well, you can ask your body, buddy, would you like this? Yes or no? It's very easy. Rescue Cokes. It is really, it's kind of like a whiskey and Coke. I mean, there's a little bit of alcohol in the Rescue Remedy anyway. So it has a, you know, it's like a floral kind of Coke with a little bit of alcohol, but not really. Yeah, it's cognac. See, there you go. I like it. What else? I know I have other announcements.
And it exists in granules for people who don't want alcohol.
Oh, there you go. Well, what fun is that though? It exists in capsules. I'm assuming granules is capsules.
Like the homeopathic, you know, little.
Yeah, the little
or,
pill
yeah,
thing.
pellets, yeah.
There you go.
Hey guys, does anyone know about the sepia? Does it come with different potencies? The same way like the Schuster?
All homeopathic remedies come with like different kind of potencies or concentrations. So you can find, I don't know the numbers. I just know that like sometimes when I went to the store, there's been like a 5 or a 10, like different things that I'm like, okay, buddy, which one do you want?
Okay.
Other announcements. There is a body whispering class coming up on April 1st, and you guys, if you didn't know, you have the possibility of hosting a pop for that. So if you're interested in that, you can check out the body whispering class and you see what it takes to host a pop, and we'll include like links and information in the follow-up email. And yes, the body whispering class is live and online. It's live from the Lazy Double D Ranch with limited seating. And then from the body whispering prereq is foundation, Tanya? Is there a prereq? Gosh, oh no. Bad facilitator, I don't know this. I just talk about things that people tell me. I'm just the mouthpiece. I don't actually know anything. Let me look. Betsy, do you know? No, no one knows. Oh. We'll look right now.
Foundation within 12 months or foundation at any time and an advanced class within 12 months.
There you go. There are the prereqs. So it's foundation and then maybe just foundation, but it could be more if you haven't taken foundation. You could take global foundation in March and then body whispering. There you go. So that's a possibility. Also coming up in March, we have the global foundation, like I just talked about, and we have the global facelift class coming up on March 14th with Grace and Shannon. And if you're a facelift facilitator, you need to be doing that to maintain your license. If you haven't done the last one within 2 years, I guess. So check and see if you need it to maintain your license. You might not, depending on the timing of when you did that class or purchased that class to become a facelift facilitator.
Hey, Andrew, do you know about the facelift class? That to be facelift facilitator, do people require the previous one and this one, or only this one? Like for new facilitators?
New facilitators will just require this one.
Okay, thanks.
Because I know some people were looking at like, should they wait for this class or just do the class? And so if they do this one, and then it will be every 2 years, basically, they'll need to do the global facelift kind of class to be able to renew. What other? We have an advanced body class coming up in India in March with Simone Milicis. And what other things do I have? There's lots of classes coming up everywhere. So many, I don't want to name them all. Anything else, Tanya?
What about the abuse?
There's a abuse hold class Grace is doing. March 12th at 7 p.m. At the Convention Center in Puerto Vallarta. Oh, I have a 3-day body class in Montreal with Katarina in March. If you want to come party in Montreal, yay.
Andrew, I have a question.
Yes.
About the abuse hold class. Who does it? Is it Gary and Grace, or there's other facilitator? Grace. Like, for example, I live in Saudi and we really would like to have this class here or in Dubai, the Middle East. How can we request for such a thing?
You have just done so.
Yes, please.
We will see. It's just Grace doing it. And so she usually do a couple where she is and kind of with her schedule and everything. But
okay.
I know we're like, they were looking at doing something in Dubai or Saudi. So we'll see if it works out.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Does Gary also facilitate the abuse hold? No, he makes Grace do it. He has not facilitated the abuse hold for a very long time. The other thing is, if you're looking at having an abuse hold, we have the Changing the Issues of Abuse class coming up with Gary, Grace, and Dane. And that's live and online April 14th from Houston. But if you're live in the class, they're going to be doing an abuse hold during one of the afternoons. But if you're not, if you're just online, then you don't get to do it. Sorry. What else? I think that's everything I can think of. Oh, next month, obviously, the body process will be The Legend of El Dorado by popular request. During the call, I'm probably going to be talking about reflexive realities just to make sure there's equal representation. But we'll see. Maybe I'll move on to a different body process. you know, because we're already over that one. And I think, did the date get confirmed yet, Tanya, or no?
It's tentatively March.
Tentatively,
16th.
it will be March 16th. Tentatively. Okay, I think that's everything. Thank you, everyone. Oh, I know what else. There was the other one sheet that was planned, that we got translated and went out. There's the why a question handout thing. And so that's a process you can run, and it's in your, like, with your one sheet, you'll see there's a why a question handout and stuff. And you can run that process in your classes, and it talks about why you want to be a question or ask a question. Is there an ABC plan in Europe? Yes, I believe Simone is going to be doing one in June, and they're working out the schedule. They don't have it. It's not posted as of yet, but it's coming. And I believe they're planning one for the States as well at some point this year. Yes, question.
Andrew, the abuse hold with grace, is it like also during the COP, or is it like, is there any system?
There is no system.
Okay.
The Grace is not going to be doing a oh, there you go. That's another class. Grace is doing a COP in Paris on March 3rd. I think also at the same time, Simone Melissus is doing a COP in Japan on March 3rd. So you have multiple COPs going on, but she's not doing an abuse hold at that time. It's her Grace's first ever solo COP. So it's going to be legendary because it's her first one. But so if you want to check all the, if you're interested in any of those classes, please go on the Access website. And there's Tanya posted the abuse hold class. Also, if you're looking for abuse hold class, it's not posted under Grace's name. For legal reasons, she had some court stuff, like court things with her child hearings things. Custody, there we go, that's the word. So it's posted under abuse hold facilitator. So there you go. But that's it. Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry that you still have all your reflexive realities and nothing changed for you. It's okay. Maybe next year. And we'll see you next month for part 2 of the melting of all reflexive realities, also known as the Legend of El Dorado.
Andrew, I was wondering that how we can request for either Gary or Dane to do ESP or SOP class or ABC in Dubai.
Talk to, I don't know who they email. Is it customer service at this point they can email? I don't know where the requests go. I don't handle those things. I just handle Grace's schedule, so I have some influence over that, but I do not have any influence over where Gary and Dane go. I think you can always send your requests for people coming to places to customer service and they'll get it to where it goes, or they'll tell you where that should go directly. Okay, thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next month for Legend of El Dorado, maybe.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you, translators.
Thank you,
Thank
Andrew.
you.
Thank you, Betsy.
Thank you. Bye.